Hey, what's up? My name is Rodney Cooper, and I'm the host of Locker Room Talk with Coop. This is the third episode, and I got a special guest that's coming on. I got my guy, my bro, Lawson Schaffer. Coming out of high school, he was a 6A Player of the Year, and he was definitely a fan favorite. He walked on to Alabama from 2015 to 2019. Every time he stepped foot into the game, he was definitely a highlight reel, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. So let's get it. So I got my guy Lawson Law Dog Schaffer on the show. What's up, bro? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chop it up a little bit. I feel like we picked the perfect time to talk about a little bit of Alabama basketball.
Right. I know that they're killing it right now. So, but but let's go back a little bit. As far as you being from Coleman, Alabama. So just talk about your story as far as being a kid from Coleman up until the point to where you decided to play and walk on for the University of Alabama.
Okay, so it started out. Really, I wasn't too good at basketball. Playing in third and fourth grade, I quit the team. I was at the end of the bench. I wasn't playing a lot, and but I grew up in a neighborhood. I was the youngest, smallest kid out of our neighborhood, and so you know how it was. Either got out there and played, or you didn't play at all. So
Right.
I I'd individually get out in my yard. I had a basketball goal, and I'd just shoot a bunch of shots, trying to get good enough to play with older kids. And I finally got good enough, and I went from always being kind of the last out to, I guess you get first pick. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the big dog in the neighborhood. You get to
Right.
be a team captain. So middle school takes off a little bit. We had some really good teams, but come from Coleman, it's kind of a predominantly white community, and the basketball is not the best.
I got a story once you finish. I got a story, but go ahead.
So it was kind of rough growing up, trying to get schools to look at me. I had UAH my sophomore year. That's kind of my first college letter. And I was like, oh
Okay.
wow, you get that first letter, and it's like, oh, this is a little serious now.
Right.
So they started recruiting me after that. But nothing was really that serious. Like UH wasn't even really trying to jump on board
hmm
until about end of my junior year. We played Parker, and Parker had just this crazy good defense. So you remember Giddy Potts by chance played at Middle Tennessee?
Getting pause. What position?
He was a shooting guard. He had that tournament run. They beat Michigan State. He kind of charged at Middle Tennessee. I think it was 2017, maybe
I
2018.
probably do know him. Like if I see his face, probably.
He played at Athens, and Parker held him and that whole Athens team to like 20 points, something crazy like that in
Okay.
regionals. And I ended up having like 28 on Parker, and after
Nice.
that, kind of got a lot of recognition. I think a lot of coaches got put on notice after that. And then senior year, we ended up playing Mountain Brook, and after that, it kind of took off. Petway called me after that game. Auburn called me, so it kind of and it happens like that in a blink of one game, you
Right.
know.
So you would say that Parker game was the one that pretty much got your name on the map.
Exactly, because Wallace, a lot of coaches were at that game. That's
hmm
when they really start, I think, recruiting more heavily is during that
hmm
regional, the playoffs and stuff like that. So that Parker
Right.
game just got me on notice at least. And
hmm
AAU was never that good for me, honestly. It helped me though play with different guys. Like I said, come from Coleman, and then going to play in Birmingham. The basketball is two different styles.
So I remember like the first time I seen you play, y'all came down to a team camp.
Yep.
So like in the summertime, the high school teams come and play, and I was working the scoreboard. So I was like, man. So I'm watching. I'm seeing like this whole like white team,
Yeah.
team of white guys. But like as the game, I was like, man, they about to get blew out. But the thing was though, the thing was like you was coming down, you was like crossing dudes, you was throwing like no look passes, like shooting like deep three. I'm like, man, who this little white dude is, man? He going crazy. He going crazy. So they was telling me about you like after the game. And I was like, yeah, he nice. So I mean, you was doing that like even when you was getting in the games at Bama, like you was taking some chance. I said, man, this dude, he's serious.
That's that's how it was. Though. We every time we warm up, every team definitely if it's like a really big school, like Theodore or something like that, they would just look at us like, and we were about to blow these dudes out the water. And I don't blame them for thinking that at all.
Yeah.
Trust me. So it sometimes helped us because it helped us keep us hanging around in games that we probably shouldn't have been in,
Right.
and then we sneak up and maybe beat a team or two that we shouldn't beat. So I think how we looked sometimes helped us in a way.
So I know you were saying like as far as like as your childhood, like growing up, you didn't really start. You know, you was coming off the bench and stuff like that, and you actually quit. Like, who was that guy? Because I feel like, you know, as a kid growing up, it's somebody that's like in your life that gave you like
Yeah.
that motivation, that inspiration to keep going. So who was that person or couple of people that gave you those words of wisdom to keep pushing?
And that's what I got asked that question the other day when I was on and I don't think it was anybody individual. I think it was more of myself,
Mm,
not allowing myself to kind of be that guy that doesn't play or I guess is not because you always want to be that guy.
right.
Definitely growing up, and I guess I got put on the back burner growing up as a kid a little bit in the neighborhood, and I just wanted to prove myself so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, all the kids were like older, bigger, and I was just like, man, I'm not gonna sit here and let this go by like this. So
Right.
I
Right.
think just all in general, growing up in that neighborhood, and a lot of those kids grew up to be really good athletes. Like some
Mm-hmm.
Bam fans probably know Ben Moore, who played at baseball at University of
Okay. I
Alabama.
know Ben Moore. Yep.
And so guys like that is the neighborhood I grew up in. So it's like really good
Okay.
athletes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they kind of pushed me to be better, and they didn't even have to
Mm-hmm.
say anything. It's just the way they held themselves.
And then on top of that, it just says a lot about you too. Like as far as like, you know, I wanted to ask you like a little bit later as far as what adversity you've been through, but it was like the same with me, like coming from a small town. But like
Mm-hmm.
my town was like, you know, out of control. So it was like 500 people. Like that was the population.
Yeah, it's wild.
So
Where are
like
you
come
from?
Hurtsboro, Alabama.
Okay,
Yeah. Never heard of it, I know, but
I know.
I'm a but it was the same thing. Like I didn't know nothing about AAU basketball. And then like you was talking
Exactly.
about, it's one game that can like really put you on the map. So I can't remember the guy we was playing against. I think it was Tony Roten. He was like top 5 in our class. He was like one and
Yeah, I
done.
remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and him almost got into it in the game. But like my thing was every time we played against those guys, I was telling my coach like I got him. Cause he had to
Yes.
show me. I mean, I had the underdog mentality. Like he had to show me like as far as like if he's as good as everybody say he is. And I wasn't
Exactly.
thinking about it then, but like thinking about it now from a business perspective, it's like if he showed me up good, it showed me what I need to work on. But if I show him up, that's great because everybody coming to watch him and now they asking like who this kid is. And now they're coming to
Exactly.
the games after that. And that's the same thing that happened with you as far as at Parker. So let's fast forward a little bit as far as, you know, you deciding to play for the University of Alabama and walk on there. So I know personally, as far as everything that you guys go through, as far as far as far as being a walk on, I really don't think people really understand like the hell y'all go through as far as y'all doing the same thing that we doing as far as preseason conditioning, weights, practice, 2 days. Y'all have to come in before practice when it comes to as far as scout report. Y'all have to stay
Exactly.
afterwards with scout report as far as to make sure that you guys are imitating the players that they assign you guys to. So talk a little bit about that as far as, and on top of that, getting cussed out a lot.
Oh, it's that. I was about to say you're almost getting in more worry. So it was definitely more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
I got there. So before I even graduated high school, I went down and started doing kind of summer workouts and stuff with Coach Lou.
Okay.
And
Coach Lou, yeah.
and
My
and
God.
anybody knows
Yeah.
Coach Lou, that guy is there's no free pass in
Oh,
anything you
nah,
do,
at
no
all.
matter who
At
you
all.
are, where you came from. So I walked into it like, okay, I'm Lawson Schaffer,
Right.
player of the year. I'm gonna earn this, and it's gonna
Right.
be how
Because
I
you
dreamed
you
it
you
up.
was 6A player of the year, then like your senior year, you averaged 21, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. So yeah, you was doing your thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was feeling good. I was confident. I
Right.
thought, oh, Coach Lou's gonna know who I am. I'm the preferred walk on. I'm not gonna be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You walking on by choice. It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought I'd have a little bit of a pass. Well, I learned real quick that Coach Lou did not give a rat's tail about who I was,
Right.
where I was from. He's actually gonna make it more difficult and see if I was even worth having a preferred walk on spot.
Right.
So I called my dad probably about 3 weeks in. I'm like, Dad, I'm sitting in the Bryant. Bryant dorms in there
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Athletes Bay, and I'm in the stairwell, and I said, Dad, I promise you, I'll take my scholarship at Wallace. You don't have to pay for any school. Please let me come home. This is not for me. He's like, absolutely not. He's like, you are gonna
That's
make the
it,
biggest.
pops. That's it, pops.
Yeah.
Same thing
I'm like,
happened to me. The same thing happened to me. So he was taking me through like we had to run like the 17s, the mile test, like with the weights. He had us doing like weighted
yes.
box jumps, weighted pull ups, all that. So it was the same thing with me. I was like, man, like me and Lace was just talking about this. We were saying how uh we was like, man, a job don't sound too bad right about
That's what I was thinking. I told my dad I'd take a construction job. I was like, I'll work a little bit.
right.
Like, there's no way, because like it turned into a full-time job, and I just
Yeah.
wasn't ready for it, and I wasn't mature enough to understand that I guess they weren't out to get me. They just saw the other end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right.
you know and sometimes you got to have people like your parents who see the light. Maybe that had never played basketball. My dad didn't play any sports or anything. He played football for a little bit in high school, but
Right.
they're not at that level. But at
Right.
the end of the day, he's had a job. He's been through adversity,
Mm-hmm.
so he's seen it. And I was like, thank God my dad did not let me come home.
And he knows what the real world is because, like in college, it's pretty much kind of like a fantasy land. Like you got
Yes.
everything scheduled out for you, but once, like me and once you get into the real world, you don't have that schedule. Like you have to make your own
No.
schedule. Yeah, you don't
And that's
have all
sometimes
these.
the hardest part.
Right, for sure, for sure, for sure. So, like you was talking about a little bit earlier, as far as it took you that one game against Parker to put your name on the map. So as far as the kids that are going to be listening in on this, and as far as the parents that you know want to get a little bit of information on what it takes to get to that level,
Hmm.
so what advice will you can give to the youth and the parents as far as what's the actual steps they need to take to be able to position themselves to make it to the D1 level?
I would say there's going to be a lot of roadblocks, and you're not
Right,
even going to be able to identify them as roadblocks. There's going to be mental times where you're going to say, like, I used to think to myself, this isn't for me.
right,
I'm coming from Coleman. Other kids got it. Grass is greener somewhere else, and they're set up a little bit better. But
hmm,
um, you get to create your own story every day.
right,
So ultimately, it is always up to you whether you're going to go over that roadblock, that obstacle, and get to the other side. And
hmm,
I think looking back on it, sometimes the roadblocks really aren't that bad.
right.
They're like speed bumps.
It's all
And
about
if you
perspective.
it's perspective every
Right,
day. And like I go back and I think to college, I'm like, it really wasn't that bad. It was just one or two bad days. And like, but you get to justify, are they really that bad?
right.
So if you can change your perspective and realize that you get to create your narrative, your story, and you get to be your own author,
Mm.
just create your own confidence too.
Right. Because that's the main thing I tell kids, and I also tell parents too. Like, the first step is that the kid has got to want it. Like the
Yes.
parent, like they be wanting it as bad for, like even worse for their kid. Like they want it, just as bad, or if not better. So the thing
Yeah.
is, I would say, is definitely that belief and confidence in yourself, because it's going to be times like when you get to the D1 level, like you was the guy on your team, but once you go up against these guys, you like, man, like everybody was the best player on their team in high school, so everybody is nice.
Exactly.
So it's like a good check. Like you really have to
Yeah.
look at as far as like what's my strengths, like what are the things I need to work on. Like, okay, like I was getting away with this in high school, but like now, these guys are just as quick, jump just as high. Well, as far as me, just jump just as high, but you had a high IQ.
I'm about to say, we in high school, I think everybody could still jump higher than me. So
Right, right. So so I know
I
as
would
far
say
as go ahead.
I would say too, like your confidence should come in your work ethic. Like a
Right.
lot of these kids right now are finding confidence in like social
Social
media
media,
on
right.
play, and
Right.
I'm like, your confidence can't be off of what other people say or what other people view you as, because
Mhm.
then you're creating a false sense of identity for yourself. Your confidence should be like, I'm doing this in the gym, and
Mhm.
that lets me go out there and do this in a game. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And until you get that through your mind that your confidence comes in your work ethic, then
Mhm.
you're just creating a false identity and you'll fail.
And I completely agree with that, because I know as far as like the kids, like I do take the time to train. I tell them like, hey, like I'm gonna be straight up with you. Like, don't waste my time. So
Yeah.
I tell them like, hey, you gotta make 500 shots a day. And I asked them how many shots they get up a day.
Get up, yeah.
And they say something crazy, but I'm like, okay, we're going to make 500. Then like the first 100 shots, they're already tired, and I'm like, you really haven't been working, so that just lets me know. And then I want to see like how consistent they're going to be, because that's the main thing
Yes.
too, being consistent for sure.
Consistency.
Yeah. So let's. I know you was there for 4 years, and I know like you definitely have a couple stories to tell. So as far as the funniest memories you can remember, share with
Yeah,
the fans and people that are going to be listening in and watching this. What's some funny stories that come to mind that without getting none of your teammates in trouble? You know, because we're in a
yeah.
Bama fraternity. So what's some funny what's some funny stories you can think of?
I'm trying to think. There's so many like, and it's not really stories, like just little memories, like always us in the locker room or something.
Right. Yep.
I'm trying to think of.
It could be off the court too.
All right, so we're in New York,
Okay.
um, and we're about to play. I think we were about to play Minnesota the next day,
Mm. Right. Yeah.
and
Y'all
we
had like
and that
y'all had
game,
like three players, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
game was already chaotic. So the
Right.
night
Right.
before, we get some bootleg shoe seller up in the hotel room, and he comes walking through the lobby like Santa Claus with his black bag,
Yeah.
like in this huge trash bag, and it's got like Louis Vuitton stuff in it, Gucci stuff, Yeezys. And we don't even know how we found this guy, but it's like I'm not going to name any names, but me and a couple others.
Okay.
Of course, I don't even know why I'm a part of it. It's just like, why did I have to be?
Right.
Well, he's up in our hotel room, and Clark is kind of coming around, and he's doing training stuff. He's like checking on the guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, who in the heck is this
Yeah.
guy? And he has like this African accent. Like it's just
Right.
some bootleg dude just trying to make some
So
money.
y'all was trying to buy some shoes? Y'all thought it was real? I'm confused.
I think we kind of knew that it was fake, but we believed a little bit that maybe
Right.
there was a
Right.
chance it was real. Like maybe it was stolen or something.
Yeah.
'Cause he
Right.
had like Gucci belts. I mean, it was crazy the stuff this guy had. And
Yeah.
a couple of us bought a couple things off of him. Well, anyway, we start going down the lobby, taking him out, and it's like Tiffany's right at the elevator, Coach Ya, and we're
Yeah.
just bust with this guy. And
Ah.
so we ended up getting a little trouble for that. And then
Yeah.
the next day, is a Minnesota game that ends up 3-on-5, and it's just like Coach Johnson, I think,
Oh,
ripped
that's a
us.
great reason for him to bring that up after the game.
Exactly.
Right.
It was like
Right.
it was just like the perfect storm
Right.
almost. And it was like we kind of deserved this.
Yeah, yeah. So I know the coaches, they definitely try to find something like just say if you lose something to add the fuel to the fire as far as the reason why we
Exactly.
didn't play well or something like that. So
Oh yeah, and
that
they said that
yeah,
during the
yeah. I
after the
already
game. They
know.
were like, yeah,
That's funny. Y'all buying Louis shoes, y'all that's crazy.
yeah. It was so stupid. It's just immaturity. Like we were like, why
Right,
did we even
right.
have that go?
We're 19, 20 years old. Like, come on, like everybody's did something crazy in their life. So, but so as far as like the funny mirror. So as far as the most memorable moments on the court that you can remember, like I know you done did some behind the back pass. You like the fan favorite when you come in. I was watching. I was like, man, what this dude about to do, man? I'm like, he finna pull an NBA three. I like, man, his confidence is through the roof. So I got to see. So what's a memorable moment you can remember on the court that you done? Yeah,
Personally or as a team?
personally, both. Well, both,
Personally,
both.
I think my favorite was the Ole Miss when I got word before the game I was going to be playing a little bit, like
Mm-hmm.
meaningful minutes. When assistant coaches came up to me, and you start getting that like kind of nervous because like
Right,
I never played at all, so I was like,
right,
all right, this minutes mean something. So
right, right, right.
I gotta either make sure like I can't shoot those stupid threes like I would shoot when there's 20 seconds,
Yeah,
30
yeah.
seconds. So Ole Miss is playing that 1-3-1 that they play, and it's real extended,
Mm-hmm.
and end up hitting a three, and I didn't even really want to shoot it, but I was like, coach is going to get more mad at me for not shooting this open shot, kind of open, because if I
Right.
get back to the bench, John Petty's going to be like, why are you always so scared? Like, I already know what they're going to
Ah, so Petty be gassing you up. He be hyping you up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. So he's always, as soon as I come over, or if I shot and everybody's like, man, you're so scared. That's why you're never in the game and all this stuff. I'm like,
Ah,
oh, my God.
yeah.
And
I
which
like
only
it.
makes it worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right, right. They was
So
trying to
I
instill that
end up
confidence into you. Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
Exactly. So I end up just jacking it up. So I'm like, I'm only going to play a minute and a half. Well, it goes in, and then I have a pass to Braxton Key, and he dunks it. And I'm like, kind of spark a little 5-0 run, and Ole Miss calls a timeout. And that was the only real minutes I really got after that. I think I only played like another 30 seconds. But we ended up winning that game. And after it meant something to me, even though, I mean, it was such a small fraction of that game.
Right.
But it felt good to actually have like a purpose in a sense
Right.
for an actual win. So that's probably, and then obviously the NCAA tournament pass, which was just complete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something you
It's a
dream about
different
as a
feeling,
kid.
right?
Yeah, that's like all your dreams coming full circle in a sense.
Right, and it's crazy. It seems like everything speeds up, like everybody taking that game to the next level. Because it's not like the NBA when you're in a series, like it's either win or go home type deal. So
and dudes play out of their mind.
yeah, right. It's always some Cinderella team to where it seems like nobody's missing, and it's like what's going on. But yeah, so pivot a little bit as far as like going from the most memorable moments. I know you was talking a little bit about in your younger years, you quitting basketball, but ended up finding the motivation to get back to playing. So with this show, I feel like it'll really hit people as far as like us telling our stories. And the main three points I want to harp on is entertain, inspire, and inform. So I feel like with the stories, it's going to, hit a little bit of those three topics, but also as far as talking about like the adversity we've been through and the overcame. And so talk a little bit about that as like some adversity that you had to overcome that people really don't know about.
One, just my family, I mean, they don't know anything about basketball. Like to this day, my dad couldn't tell you what a travel was. So like knowing that it was kind of, I had to pull myself up when it came to AAU, like finding out what team was best for me. A lot of people, I feel like they get taken care of when it comes to high school and AAU, and they get showed the ropes. And I didn't have that privilege because one, coming from Coleman, 5'10", I'm a white kid. Who the hell would take a chance, or who the heck would take a chance on me?
With a lot of game, though. With a lot of game. Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, people look at you and they'll count you out just by the way you look. And I get that. So it was one of those things where, I constantly just try to prove myself. And it was like, I always had a chip on my shoulder, and I thank God I did, because there's a lot of times where a lot of guys that I'd play, I was like you, I was like, I want to show him that I'm worth his respect. Like, I remember playing Days On at Theodore, and I wanted to bust their tail so bad. They ended up, I mean, he ended up having a huge double-double, but after the game, he like messaged me and was like, "Man, we need to get you to Alabama," stuff like that, because like I proved myself, and like that meant something to me. I know we didn't win that game, and like wins will always matter, but I was like, as long as I'm getting the respect I deserve, it meant something to me, because I never got anybody's respect, I felt like, until senior year.
See, those are the things that the people don't know as far as Dejan, reaching out to you after the game and, showing respect to you. And I completely agree as far as like us coming from two completely different backgrounds, but having like similar stories as far as having a chip on our shoulder, having that underdog mentality, wanting to prove ourselves every time we stepped on the court against the best players. And, those 1 or 2 games pretty much put us in a position to be seen. So it's the same story, but just different backgrounds. So I appreciate you for sharing that for sure. So let's go into as far as you going into like the business side of things, as far as like transitioning from sports to the quote unquote real world. So so I know as far as we was talking a little bit about it at the game, as far as you being in the commercial insurance business with Briars Wright, and talk a little bit about that as far as like what you do, and as far as like the type of ideal client that you work with day in and day out.
Okay, so I work at Buyers Right, and we do commercial insurance. We're located in 5 different cities. I'm in kind of the Coleman office / Homewood office, and we focus on property and casualty insurance for businesses. Ideal client, I mean, we will write anything from the smallest mom and pop shop to some of the biggest businesses in Alabama. And I enjoy it a lot because our motto is relationships matter. And I'm a people person at the end of the day.
Right.
I love people. I love going and hearing different stories, getting different backgrounds, because, playing sports and being all the places I've been and just all the people I've met through sports, it's like I can relate to so many of those people and their work ethic and how competitive they truly are. And they just take it to a different environment. And I love seeing that. they're winners that I
Yeah.
deal with. Like you don't have a successful business unless you're a winner and you really care about the people you work with, your family, and just that hard working mentality at the end of the day.
Right. And on top of that is being intentional. Like I be talking about all the time as far as like athletes when, when they stop playing the game, as far as like either basketball, football, baseball, whatever. I said, we already have like what it takes. Like we already have those principles. We already have that regimen, that routine for success.
No
I said
doubt.
it's just taking those same principles and applying it to a different game. So it's the same thing. But
And
we
I
just
found the hardest part. It's like my identity was a little taken away from me with basketball because basketball is the only
right,
thing I knew.
right,
And I have, like you're saying, I have the tools,
right.
but like how can I use those tools in a working
Mm,
world? And every day I'm still learning how to use those tools, how to
right.
stay motivated. Because like
Mm,
basketball is such a big part of our lives, or any athlete when they're playing at the level we're at. It's like
right,
it's everything you know, and then
right.
it gets taken away, and you're like, well, I'm a little lost, but
Mm,
I know that I work hard. I care.
mm,
I want to make people proud because that's why you
right,
got into playing the sport at the end of the day.
right,
You know,
right. For
so
sure.
it's like how can I just get those tools activated?
Yeah. It's the same thing, bro. Like you still that little kid that had quit basketball, end up finding the motivation to get back, and then now like you competing against these top guys, and then you
Yep,
been you been shown respect. It's the same thing in the business world as far as you feeling like a little lost. You have ups and downs just like in basketball, but the main thing
no
is just
doubt.
being consistent because you never know when that business owner that have like all these like this big business and reach out to you and you need to write a policy for them, that type thing. So it's the same
Exactly.
thing. So it's just making sure you have that routine for success like you did in basketball, and I mean the sky's the limit and whatever that any of us do. So for sure. So as
You're
far as like
exactly right.
so I know you were saying as far as like people that have like little pop-up shops up to the guys that have you know a big business. So how would like just say for the ones that listen in or is watching this video, how could they be able to get in contact with you if they want to know more information on what you guys have to offer?
Okay, so I'll put my number in. My
Okay.
number is 256-590-8798. Give me a
Okay.
call and just tell me a little bit about maybe if you're starting a new venture or if you're currently owning a business and you would
Hmm.
like to review your policy or see what policy coverages might be out there or risk associated with your business. Give me a call. We'll sit down for lunch and just kind of chop it up and see what we can get going for you.
I like it. I like it. So we wrapping things up. So give the fans, your social media handles or, you know, anything else that you want them to support.
Okay, my Instagram is just Lawson Schaffer, 2, and then my Instagram is at LawDagger23. So hit me up on both. I would love to, obviously meet new people. Just reach out to me and see when we get started.
I like it. I like it. So we're wrapping things up. This is the third episode of Locker Room Talk with Coop. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share this to everybody out there. And Lawson, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Coop, I appreciate you having me on. It's great. It's crazy how many of us come from different backgrounds and have the exact same stories and
Right.
probably gone through the same exact adversity, and it's never ending. And that's the thing about life. I mean, life is a fight. So
Right.
keep fighting, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right. No problem, man. See you guys on the next episode.